Hey there, this is Juan Morales, and in today's episode, we're going to cover something that is very useful, especially if you find yourself all the time thinking about regretting other things, or if only this thing had gone differently, or if only I had taken action at X point, my life would be better, and so on and so forth. And the reason I bring this up is because this is a very common occurrence that happens especially to entrepreneurs and growth marketers and founders, because we look back and we think, if only I had changed this for that, everything would have sort of turned out the right way. But I remember I had this experience happen one time from the oddest of places, but it taught me a very important lesson. So a couple of years back, I was headed out to a restaurant and I was with my wife. And as we're going to the restaurant, there was this huge puddle on the street. And turns out there was a hole in the puddle. And I went into that hole with both tires on the right side of my car, hit that hole. So I started losing power in the car. Eventually I had to stop because obviously both of the tires on the right side were now busted. Now, at the time, I felt, why is this happening to me? All I wanted was to go out to have a nice dinner, and now it's not going to happen. Now I'm having a bad experience of this whole thing, whereas I could have been sitting down and eating dinner and being comfortable and having a good time and so on and so forth. So I'm there and I'm having all these moments happening at the same time, and then my mechanic shows up because I called him up to come in and to check that everything was good and so on. So my mechanic shows up. And he sees me there and he sees me pouting and that I'm upset that this happened and whatever. And he comes to me and he says, what if you were about to get food poisoning in that dinner and this stopped you from getting that food poisoning? Obviously at the time, I wasn't seeing any of that as a possibility. I was focused exclusively on the meal being a good outcome. I never thought about what could happen if that meal was actually a worse outcome than the one that I got right now. And the truth is, the moment that I thought about that as well as a possibility, in my mind I got balance, because I wasn't only focused on a positive thing, it could have gone either way. And many things in our lives could have gone either way. In fact, if you had gotten the money that you wanted before, you don't know if that would have been good or bad for your life. If you had gotten the girl, if you had gotten the business to the level that you wanted it to, if you had gotten the right team members, you don't know where you'd be. Just because we think that that's what's needed, and that because we don't have it, we haven't achieved it, that doesn't make it true. That's just a theory. In fact, that's actually a hypothesis because you haven't even tested that. But the point is that this concept that's called the fallacy of the path not traveled, it's the idea that everything that we didn't do is always better than what we did. And it hurts us because it makes us feel all this kind of regret for things that we could have done but didn't do, and then now it's creating this regret. When the truth of the matter is, if you look at those situations or those potential situations, they could have led to some unintended but harmful consequences to you. So it's not always that thing that didn't pan out, you lost that opportunity and then you missed out and you feel all bad about it. Because guess what? You never know how it is. And that reminds me of a story of this wise man has a son, and he buys his son a horse. And when the son goes out to ride for the first time, the father is so proud. The son is riding out on the horse, and then the horse topples over and drops him, and he breaks his leg. Now everybody saw it as, oh, that's such a bad thing. Oh, he broke his leg. Well, a week later, war had broken out, and they came to recruit young men to fight the war. And guess what? Now, because that person had a broken leg, he wasn't recruited to go to fight the war. So you see, it's one of these things where you have to understand that you never know. You just never know. And every time that you find yourself in that regret space, thinking that if only X had happened, everything would have turned out fine, you're lying to yourself. Because if X had happened, you don't know what would have happened after. And it is understanding that principled fact that allows us to get that balance again. And understand that all we are is in one of many options. There are no better options or worse options. It's just the one that we're in. We don't know what other options would look like because there's too many things to consider to actually know if it would have been successful or not. That's it for me today. Till next time, this is Juan Morales signing out. I'll see you on the next one.